It's what we're all about. AM 1380, The Biz. We mean business.
Are you one of the 9 million Floridians living in a community managed by a property manager or HOA? If you've ever wondered what your rights are as a resident or what your role is as a volunteer board member, you've come to the right place. Welcome to the Condo Coaches, your resource for when your gated community starts to feel more like you're stuck behind bars, or when that guy next door decides that a hot pink Chevy on cinder blocks really sets the tone for the neighborhood. The Condo Coaches is brought to you by lmfunding.com. Find the Condo Coaches online at thecondocoaches.com. And now your host, Johnny Torres.
Hello, everyone, from whenever and wherever you may be listening. The Condo Coaches radio show, as always, online, just about anywhere and everywhere you want to listen to us. You can find us on iTunes, which is exciting. You can get all of our episodes on iTunes. You, of course, can find us on YouTube, Facebook. We're streaming live right now at facebook.com/The Condo Coaches, and, of course, our website, thecondocoaches.com. You can watch all of our episodes right there on our website. You can also sign up for an incredibly valuable booklet at no cost to you. Top 10 things you know if you are a board member on a community or homeowners, a condo or a homeowners association. And with me, as always, head coach Dean Akers. Hello, Dean.
Hello, Mr. Johnny. How's everything today?
Doing great. And we obviously love talking about that booklet because it's been a huge hit for you.
We've had hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of the booklet go out, and now we have boards requesting it, both PDF and the hard copy. So we're in the process of another reprint. And it's just insane how helpful it's been for the boards.
Well, and you don't have to wait on Dean, to show up at a trade show to get a copy. All you have to do is go over to our website, thecondocoaches.com, look for the playbook, and when you sign up there, we will email you a copy for you to download right there in a PDF format that you can then share with your board members. And, the current version says, are you a first-time board member? But what we found is that even if you've been on a board before, this is a great refresher. It covers everything from elections to governing documents to even to how to communicate with your fellow residents.
Can I share something, too, that's really just evolved out of this? Mm-hmm. We've had a number, as you know, all of our members are volunteers, non-solicitation, and they come from all different types of industries that serve the condo and HOA world. We have a group right now. So any board member out there that's a new board member will be doing board certification classes. All they have to do is go on thecondocoaches.com under that request information and say they want to do a board certification class in January or February. And we have volunteers that are certified to do those board certification classes. So not only will they get the book, they'll get their certifications at no charge through volunteers. That's
amazing. And so all you got to do is go to thecondocoaches.com, thecondocoaches.com. You can also email us if you want somebody to come out and do that board certification class for you. Our email address is help@thecondocoaches.com, help@thecondocoaches.com. And if you'd like to talk to Mr. Dean Akers, he always answers the phone no matter what time of day. He's a hardworking man. 813-331-5415. 813-331-5415 is the number to reach the Condo Coaches. And we handle all kinds of issues from, again, some communication issues, which we talk a lot about on this show, all the way to even some construction issues. And of course, we're here to work with the board members of your community association, your condo association, just to help you get through these hoops and hurdles. The folks on our team, these coaches have the expertise in just about every field you can imagine. And we've saved hundreds, thousands in legal bills, and all you got to do is just reach out to us, visit our website, send us a little note and say hi, thecondocoaches.com. We do have a guest with us, as we typically do. I think we've only done one show without a guest, and today the insurance, I just gave it away. Our topic for today's show is going to be insurance and how that affects your community, your home, and with us today is Gregg Ruggiero from one of our insurance coaches here, and he has actually been an insurance sales executive since 2010, originally from Staten Island, New York, graduated from St. John's University, very cool, with a Bachelor of Science in Business Management. moved into the Tampa Bay area in 2010, pursuing a career in insurance, and has been with Bouchard Insurance since. And so congratulations to you.
Thanks.
In 2012, he earned his accredited advisor in insurance and commercial lines coverage specialist designations. Congratulations on that. And he's currently pursuing his licensed community association manager and community insurance risk management specialist designations, both of which are important to this particular industry, which is why you're our condo coach for the day.
Absolutely.
You're our insurance coach. And so we're going to talk about both the board aspects and even some of the resident aspects of insurance, not only the individuals, but mostly really the community and how that affects the residents of any particular community. Before we get to that, want to shoot back over real quick to Dean. We like to kind of go into some of the questions that we've been getting through Facebook. We also want to hear a little bit from you in terms of what you're getting, the types of meetings and situations that you're facing out there with the condo coaches. A quick question from our Facebook page is, can a board president act independently of the board?
Well, I'm not an attorney. I'm a coach in this position, but the answer is no.
Pretty cut and dry,
Pretty
right?
cut and dry.
Yeah.
And that's probably this past week we've gotten tons and tons of calls and tons of emails, and most of them have to do with some of the functions of a board and some of the, again, going back to the communication issues. But probably the biggest thing that's happened this week, you want me to share with the most calls I've had this week?
Yeah, please.
They've been with issues mostly in southeastern Florida, which is the Miami-Dade, Broward area. They've been with issues, Johnny, of their condo docs. And they're usually 70, 80, 90 pages. And they're having challenges. And what our condo coach volunteers have been doing is they've been shooting a copy of their condominium declaration in. And our people are volunteering, doing a deck review that they can go back to their attorneys or whatever and redesign. Because there's some of these condo decks that down in Southeast Florida are 50 years old.
Oh, geez.
Yeah.
Wow.
And they're way behind in what they can do, just a lot of things. But we have a group of volunteers now that will vet them for you, send it back. You can go get with your attorney, and then all you're doing is paying him to fix them, not paying him to tell you what he needs to fix.
Right, and it's just a matter of making sure that it's updated, because I'm sure it's been amended over the years. But like you said, the original core of the document may be, 20, 30, 40, maybe even 50 years old.
We found one document, I'm not going to get in all the details, but we found one document for a group that is in dire straits, actually have gone through the bankruptcy courts in their condo. And it was probably mostly precipitated by the lack of stuff in their documents that they could have in today's world to help circumvent the issues they were having. That's what it was. So we're in the process of trying to help them now amend documents because they've just come out of that situation so that this doesn't become a recurring issue.
Well, and also a big reason to revisit your documents too is to digitize them, right? Wouldn't you say that might be a good advantage? I mean, because like you said, in my community, I remember the first townhome I bought, I think it was like 200 or 300 pages. And It was costing the builder, who I also worked for at the time, a lot of money to print that for every single resident. And it was a book about, the size of a triple Big Mac. And just to visualize it for some people out there, and so it was incredibly costly for the builder to do it that way. Not only that, nobody wants a binder that big that they're going to have to stick in a corner of their house somewhere.
Right. You definitely want to PDF it, and we're doing that now. It's again the last 6 weeks, Jonathan. This has superseded anything that we had imagined. If you had told us 6 weeks ago that this group of volunteers would have this much positive impact on boards across the state of Florida in this short time, you'd have never made that bet.
Yeah.
And the reality is we're meeting with a city today to help them in all their turnovers for their housing projects they turn back over to residents through HUD and everything else to help coach them. It's just amazing.
That's incredible. Well, and again, if you haven't gotten the gist so far, for those of you listening to the Condo Coaches for the first time, we are a group of volunteers here wanting to help your condominium or homeowners association with any issues that you might be having. If you're sitting on the board of directors, you're feeling like you don't have quite the support you need, you may be a little lost on a particular issue or legal requirements, those are things that we have coaches for. We have people who are experts in those fields that can guide you and advise you through these processes. And if you want to reach out to us, we'd love to help you. 813-331-5415 is our phone number. 813-331-5415 is our phone number. help@thecondocoaches.com is our email address. help@thecondocoaches.com. So again, we got Gregg Ruggiero with us, insurance coach for the Condo Coaches show today. We only got a couple minutes here before we got to take a short break. So, why insurance? Why, young guy like you, with a BA from St. John's. Of course, I get the New Yorker moving to Florida thing.
Yeah.
That's, we do this show from Tampa Bay, and this is basically the New York of the South. We've got our own version of Yankee Stadium, just a few miles from here. But what interests you about the insurance business, and specifically when it comes to community associations?
Yeah. So insurance in general, based on the research of what I originally had, it seemed as though it was a bit of an older industry, which in my opinion opened up some opportunity. I saw it where I could actually build a career. This was something I can get into and build over the next 30, 40 years of my career, as opposed to just going from job to job. So from that aspect, I found the company that I'm with here today, and they supported that, and they support organic growth and hiring young, driven salespeople to help grow their organization. And I'm a product of that. And really what they do is they let you loose and to find really what interests you from an insurance standpoint. So we do a lot of lines of business aside from community associations, but the community associations just hit home to me. I'm a president on my condo association in Clearwater, Florida. So it just kind of made sense at the time. And one of my good buddies who works for my company, he was already in it. So he kind of gave me some of the background and the experience that he had. And he said it was a good career and a good path to go in. And I jumped right in. All
right. We'll be right back with Gregg. It's the Condo Coaches radio show, thecondocoaches.com.
Contact the Condo Coaches online at thecondocoaches.com. More of the Condo Coaches is coming up next.
Take a look under your bed. Find stuff under there? What about jobs? No? Now try your basement. There's a pair of overalls that overall you're not so into anymore. A perfectly good laptop that hasn't sat in your lap in months. And even more stuff, but still no jobs? Well, you really have both. See, stuff is defined as household articles considered as a group. Sometimes this stuff is no longer needed. Wait, no longer needed? That can't be right. Because remember those jobs you were looking for? Those are really needed, and they're the stuff inside your stuff. Even inside that winter coat that moved with you to Phoenix. Our job is to unlock those jobs, and it starts when you donate your stuff to your local Goodwill. Here's how we do it. When you donate to Goodwill, we sell your stuff to provide job training for people right here in your community. So just by teaming up with Goodwill, you help create jobs. And isn't that worth parting with the leftover guitar from your 80s cover band? Goodwill. Donate stuff, create jobs. Find your nearest donation center at goodwill.org. A message from Goodwill and the Ad Council.
Welcome back to the Condo Coaches, online at thecondocoaches.com. Here's your host, Johnny Torres.
Thank you very much. You can find us again anywhere and everywhere online, thecondocoaches.com. Find us on YouTube, facebook.com/thecondocoaches, where we're streaming live, and you can actually send me questions and comments, and we'd be more than happy to answer those for you right here on our Facebook stream. And of course, we're on iTunes and SoundCloud if you want to podcast the show too, so you can take it with you on your morning commute and get up to speed on all the things you need to know to be an effective board member in your community or condo association. With us as always, head coach Dean Akers, and our guest coach is our insurance coach, Gregg Ruggiero. We were just getting to know a little bit about you and of course, what brought you to the Tampa Bay area. We want the people out there, again, to realize that we're a group of volunteers. because we love what we do. We think it's important that these communities run effectively, efficiently, and we know it's a lot of work and it's a lot to handle. And so we're just here to help. And if we can help you, you can reach us at 813-331-5415. 813-331-5415, or email us help@thecondocoaches.com, help@thecondocoaches.com. So, Gregg, let's kind of start at the ground floor. If you're in a community and you're looking at assessing what you have in terms of insurance, what you need to have as insurance, where do you start?
Well, it mainly all starts around the property insurance policy. And obviously, which is a requirement of the association, among other lines of business. But that's mainly the driver of the majority of premium for most associations throughout the state of Florida. That tends to fluctuate. The property insurance market tends to fluctuate really based on whether or not we've had storms. And it goes up and down, and it goes from a hard market to a soft market. And I can discuss that a little bit if you'd like. But we're actually at a point here today where everybody actually likes the insurance agents, and they actually like the insurance mainly because we are in a soft market, right. Meaning that we haven't had a catastrophic storm. Let's knock on wood. And insurers are coming to the state of Florida to ultimately write more business, which creates more competition, which obviously creates more
out of these communities, especially those that are closest to the water.
Oh, absolutely.
Because they haven't been able to find, like you said, the companies that are willing to insure some of these properties.
Yeah, absolutely.
Is it mostly due to the flood insurance that's required?
No, so that's a kind of a separate line of business.
Okay.
On the flood side would be, depending on the flood zone that you are, then yeah, that would be required. If you're in an A zone or a V flood zone, then yes, you would be required as an association to purchase flood insurance for the entire community. But on the property insurance side, what you would mainly be covering is your basic perils: fire, lightning, theft, just consistent property damage for what could potentially occur from a catastrophe.
And that's for condominium, homeowners, or both?
For both.
Okay.
For both, yeah.
Got it.
So the perils are going to be the same whether or not you have your own single-family home or as opposed to a condo association. Let's say you have a big condo association, like a big building. Mm-hmm. That building, the property policy that the association puts in place is insuring that building from the walls out.
Got it.
So the walls out is all responsible for the association in that policy. The walls in is all going to be responsible for the unit owner.
Okay.
So the unit owner at that point would have the option to purchase a HO6 policy, which is an individual unit owner's policy. And that would cover floor coverings. So, if your unit just came with wood floors and you wanted to put carpet, the carpet would come under your expense. Obviously, in the event of a claim needing to occur or a storm or had come through.
Now, real quick, Dean, in some of the questions we've gotten from our website and the people listening to the show, we heard that other boards, that some boards out there don't keep up with repairs. They don't keep up with the maintenance. Roofs is, I guess, one of the most common ones we hear of here in Florida. What are some of the other issues related to insurance that you're hearing from some of our listeners?
Well, this would be perfect timing to ask this because you almost are talking about the demarc from who's liable.
Absolutely.
We actually had a really interesting one, and maybe you can answer it. If not, we'll answer it in the few thing. But we had somebody where the sanitary sewer backed up outside of the unit, but backed up enough to come into the unit and create damages in the unit. Mm-hmm. But it was caused by the sanitary sewer line of the condo.
Yeah.
Whose nickel's that?
My first gut would say that it would be on the association. They would be responsible. There is a policy, a limited mold and backup sewer policy that you can buy. It's a standalone policy, fairly reasonable premium wise. And it would cover any damages that would occur for any sewer backup lines. So,
but if they had not purchased this, if it wasn't added in, would it be normally covered?
No, it would not.
Okay, so that's why they're fighting.
Yeah, exactly.
Exactly.
Water damage in general is one of the hardest ones to mitigate. On who was responsible, because you got to find out originally where it came from and then the damage that occurred after the fact. And then, let's hope that a unit owner is obviously living in the unit or at least checking on their unit, because we all know that with the snowbird population that we have down here, they're monitoring units becomes a little bit more difficult. So we don't want, obviously, mold to grow out of that.
Well, and that's one of the reasons that, again, we want to remind people that if you want an insurance assessment done, if you want a community assessment done, the Condo Coaches would be more than happy to come out and do that for you. Dean will be happy to help you get that scheduled. You can do that by emailing us help@thecondocoaches.com, or you can call us 813-331-5415, 813-331-5415, or again, our email, help@thecondocoaches.com, because oftentimes, especially if you're thinking about changing insurance providers, how big a factor is it to, you're going to find issues like that, right? Where maybe there are things that are not covered that should be covered. But going back to my original question, to Dean, was if a board has been negligent or hasn't been able to keep up with the maintenance and upgrades of a property, how does that affect the insurance that is necessary for them to be covered appropriately?
It all really comes down to claims. So in a situation where a community is not being maintained properly, I'm of the opinion that you're more open to a claim occurring. So before, we were talking about if you have a jungle gym in place, let's say, and you're not necessarily maintaining the jungle gym, but you do have families going out and consistently using the jungle gym, and then you have a 7-year-old kid playing on the monkey bars, and one cracks, now he falls to the ground, and now you have a liability or a potential lawsuit occurs. Whereas that that could have been prevented. So ultimately, maintenance equals preventative. So the better you maintain your community, fences are always a big one. Maintaining your fence around your property, maintaining a fence around a pool. Pool is another one. Maintaining the pool property, your pool rules and regulations. It's all risk management, managing your risk. There are more risks than you think inside of a condo complex, inside of the community association. The trip and falls, those are always big risks that we always find, again, with the clientele that are live in community associations, a slip and fall could turn into a larger potential claim. You obviously want to try to mitigate it and make it as small as you possibly can, but sometimes it turns into a bigger case. So maintaining the community is definitely a big part.
So some of the potential risk factors in a single family home community are very different, right? In terms of those that would be faced by a townhome or a condominium community. At that point, do you typically find that it's harder to insure those properties that are kind of tied together, like a townhome or a condominium, or is it more difficult or more costly to insure a single family home?
It's too different. So the single family home, that typically, there are a few outside the box cases, but typically a single family home is that individual homeowner is going to be responsible for their own insurance for their own home.
Right.
In a condo, the association would be responsible for insuring the entire building.
Okay.
So you would be two different policies. It's also at that point two different insurance companies. So there's a market, a property insurance market that only deals with commercial property risks, such as community associations.
So in a condominium building, the outside, the exterior of the wall, like you said, from the wall out,
yep,
that would be considered a commercial insurance policy.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah, commercial property.
And then anything for the walls in is an individual insurance policy.
Correct. And the majority of what you're going to be covering the walls in is your own personal contents. So and if you were to turn that condo upside down and whatever would have fall out, that would be on you. That you would cover that under your business personal or your personal property or your contents insurance on your own individual HO6 policy. And
when doing these assessments, right? You go out to a community who's looking for an insurance provider. Give us kind of some 30,000-foot bullet points as to what should be looked for. We'll actually talk about that in the next segment. Dean, again, we have some insurance coaches, that we can send out to these communities all the way, from Miami all the way up to Tallahassee. And give us an idea of the assessment. We've talked about insurance, but what do you feel is also maybe we talked about security before and doing a security assessment. These again are of no cost, right, to those who reach out to the Condo Coaches.
We have condo coach coordinators also now.
Okay.
And they'll go out and meet with a board. We have one going today where they'll meet with a board. They have a whole questionnaire. And that way we isolate the things that they have concerns with, and we ask the right questions to get the concerns elevated. Then we assign coaches to them.
All right, perfect. All right, so if you'd like an insurance assessment, that's our topic of the day. Give us a call, 813-331-5415, 813-331-5415, or you can email us, help@thecondocoaches.com.
Contact the Condo Coaches online at thecondocoaches.com. More of the Condo Coaches is coming up next.
It feels like you're frozen, petrified. You're struggling with your mortgage payments. The bills begin to pile up. Not knowing what to do, you do nothing at all. And that's the worst thing you can do. Because if you take action, if you do something about your mortgage problems, you're far more likely to get the most positive outcome. Making Home Affordable is a free government program. Call 888-995-HOPE to talk one-on-one with a housing expert about the options that are right for you. Real help, real answers, right now. Call 888-995-HOPE or visit makinghomeaffordable.gov and do something about your mortgage problems. Brought to you by the U.S. Treasury, HUD, and the Ad Council.
Welcome back to the Condo Coaches, online at thecondocoaches.com. Here's your host, Johnny Torres.
Thank you very much. Head coach Dean Akers with me as always, and our guest coach today, our insurance coach, Gregg Ruggiero. We're talking insurance, your community's insurance, and if you are unsure that you whether or not you're adequately covered in your community by your insurance policy, let us know. 813-331-5415, 813-331-50, and check out your property. I'm sure he'd love to do that, and we'd love to help you do it. So reach out to us. We'll give you an insurance assessment, and we'll have our condo coaches or one of our coordinators come out, take a look at the property. We can even do a complete assessment, which includes insurance, security, take a look at your financials, and all that we do free of charge. Our volunteer coaches are ready to go. You can also check us out at thecondocoaches.com. So, Greg, we're, of course, talking about community insurance and focus mostly on, again, the what the board of directors is responsible for. Especially in a state like Florida, where there's so many varieties of condominiums, in townhomes and single family home properties. When you're talking about amenities, okay, does that differ from what the building itself? Because of course, I don't know if it's most cases, but I would say in some cases the amenities are detached from the building of a community, or even certainly in a single family home community, they're separate from the homes. And so does that need its own policy in itself?
No, that's something you can add. All of the amenities are added on to each individual policy, and both for property damage and then on the liability policy as well. So those would be two different policies. On the property policy, if a covered peril, or if let's say a storm came through and destroyed your jungle gym, or just anything like an example like that, it would be on the property policy that would be covered. And when awnings are always another one that are covered under the property policy.
All right. So staying on the topic of amenities, what is legally required to have, and I know you're not an attorney, none of us are, but in terms of what you've seen or what is required by the state to have for these amenities, is there a requirement for insurance on these community amenities?
Yeah. Honestly, the only requirement is mainly for the building.
Okay.
So you can choose to self-insure any amenities that are outside of that. Now, typically insurance carriers would prefer if they insured the entire community, just mainly from a comfort level. So we don't see it too often where people are self-insuring specific amenities, because carriers just typically want it. And honestly, premium-wise, we're not talking about a lot of money to insure the amenities. The building is where the majority of your bulk of premium is going to come from.
Okay, not the gym equipment or the picnic tables and things like that.
Yeah,
Right.
exactly. Now on the liability side, that they would be rated for premium. You know, they would charge a little additional premium for if you have a gym and if you had your pool, golf carts. Those are always ones that are insured on your liability policy, mainly because that's a third party coverage. So that would cover anybody using those if they were to get injured or they were to hurt while using them, or if somebody else, or if they were to hit somebody else, like let's say with the golf cart, then that would be covered under the liability policy.
And how about pools? So most communities, obviously here in Florida, and we broadcast all over the state, when a community has a pool, how much does that have an effect on the cost increase of an insurance policy?
Yeah, a little bit. You know, right now we're in a softer market, as I said, so premium is pretty competitive, and it's good if you haven't had any pool related losses. So that's where like we were talking about a little bit in the beginning, if you can help prevent claims as much as possible. If you've been successful in doing that, then the carrier is going to notice that, because they look at the carriers when we go out to all of the different carriers that we write insurance with, they all look at 5 years worth of loss history on all lines of business, including your property, the wind, flood, liability. And if there are pool related losses in there, then they're going to charge a little bit of a premium because of that. Or they're going to go out and do an assessment to make sure that all of your pool rules and regulations, all of the community around the pool is all up to standards to what they want to insure with.
Okay, so we're talking to Gregg Ruggiero. He's our insurance coach. He's been in the insurance industry as a sales executive since 2010 and has some pretty cool designations here. Accredited advisor in insurance, commercial lines coverage specialist, and then you're, of course, now focusing quite a bit by going after a licensed community association manager and community insurance risk management specialist designations, both, of course, which are incredibly relevant to the people listening to our show. Dean, when you are going out and working with these communities and the other coaches are out talking to them as well, looking at the financials of some of these communities, do you see them, is that typically maybe where they start cutting first in terms of what they're spending on insurance, or do you find that most of them are adequately insured out there from a community standpoint?
I think what I've seen is they're adequately insured, and people like Gregg are out there making sure and assessing it and stuff like that. The biggest issue we see is having the adequate cash to pay the insurance.
Yeah,
that's what I found when I've gone out, there's from my past business background, there's 3 documents I always look at: income statement, balance sheet, but more importantly, statement of cash flows. And when I go out and meet with these boards, I say, "Can I see your statement of cash flows?" And they act like I'm speaking a foreign language. When we go through that, they can see where the cash goes, why they can't pay their insurance, or why this is, or they had to pay up front for their insurance, so now they have a hard time paying the pool guy. But it's all in the budget. It's all documented. It's all good. So really having that financial assessment's a big deal too.
All right. If you'd like to get a question over to our insurance coach, 813-331-5415, 813-331-5415. You can also email us your questions, help@thecondocoaches.com, help@thecondocoaches.com. Gregg, when you go to these communities and whether they are looking, is there typically a point, when it's going, let's say, from the builder, developer, and being handed over to the residents, how complicated of a process is that? How should they prepare for that transition?
It's as complicated as you kind of make it, to be honest. As long as you're prepared, if you can be prepared and educated on that process by doing things like this and just educating yourself, take a little ownership in the turnover. Mainly once it gets to a point where the association has their own responsibility and they own the community as an association, then it kind of becomes pretty easy. But typically transferring over from let's say a builder's risk policy as which is the policy that's in place as the community is being built, and transferring it over to the board is a pretty easy process. I want to say pretty easy process.
Most of the time, right?
Yeah, there's always a hiccup that's going to occur, but we're prepared for that, and we can assist obviously in every step of the way.
Now, is there much difference from that transition process, let's say from the builder developer over to the residents being in control, to an existing community where the residents are already in control and they're just wanting to change from one company to another?
Yeah, not really. Once the association is in control, it's the benefit of that transition is just that your community is now new, as opposed to your community being 20, 30, 40 years old. So your risk is going to be a bit different. You're going to probably save more money in insurance because your building is newer. Other than that, though, I would say it's the same.
Well, and we were talking about getting a free insurance assessment for your community, and you can do that by shooting us an email or reaching out to us at thecondocoaches.com, help at thecondocoaches.com via email, or just visit our website, thecondocoaches.com. When you go out to do an assessment, what is it that you're looking for? What are the baselines?
Well, first it would be the property insurance, including wind. Wind coverage is one coverage that I didn't mention earlier, but it could be a part of the property insurance. It's typically a part of the property insurance, but wind is one of the highest rated perils in the state of Florida. And wind can be classified as just wind. It could be wind and hail, or it could be considered a named storm. Named storm meaning that you would have. There's typically on a property insurance policy, all three of those would have a separate deductible. So when a loss occurs, we would have an adjuster from the insurance company go out and determine what was the cause of loss. And if a hurricane came through, let's say if it was a Hurricane Matthew that just recently came through, that's a named storm. So at that point, that deductible would come into play, and any coverage that you would have in place would come into effect after the fact. If it's not a named storm and just wind came through and blew a shingle off of a roof, and then water damage ultimately leaked through, that is still considered wind, even though we've had a lot of situations that, where I said water damage is one of the hardest ones to mitigate, to see who's responsible. That specific situation is, I've had that happen 2 or 3 times, where wind blew a shingle off of a roof. It was a roof that wasn't maintained, or it was probably due for an update at some time soon. Sure. And water leaked through because then it rained after the fact. But because the shingle blew off before, the covered cause of loss, which ended up being wind, as opposed to an all other perils loss, where your deductible would probably be less. It ended up being a wind deductible, or a wind cause. The cause of loss would be wind, which put it under the wind part of the property. So that would be the first. We typically look at the major policies. That would be the property with or without wind, and then we look at your flood insurance depending on where you're at. Wind is also going to be more expensive as obviously you get to the coast. Same with flood insurance.
Okay, so the price does increase as you get closer to the water.
It increases as you get close to the water. It can so the wind is a major concern for the people that live on the water, yes. Okay. Then you get up into kind of more the middle of the state area, and now wind may not be as much of a major concern. It still is, obviously, because hurricane is a big part of where we are at here in Florida. But now sinkhole comes into play. And that opens up a whole nother conversation, a whole nother can of worms a little bit. So we determine when kind of looking at where the association is before we go out and meet, we've already determined what coverages they should have in place depending on the location of where they are.
So the geography has a big to do with where your insurance coverage is going to be.
Absolutely.
Okay,
absolutely
awesome.
Does.
Well, we're going to kind of stay along those lines. Again, kind of doing the entry level type of stuff for insurance being our topic of the day. Dean Akers is ready to take your call. If you'd like an insurance assessment done on your community, you can call us 813-331-5415, 813-331-5415. You can also email us. Dean will write back himself, help@thecondocoaches.com, help@thecondocoaches.com. We're going to talk about, some of the household factors, why can't I have a Christmas tree in my house? And if I live in a condo. So we'll talk about little things like that. The Condo Coaches, insurance is our topic. We'll be back after this.
Contact the Condo Coaches online at thecondocoaches.com. More of the Condo Coaches is coming up next.
Welcome back to The Cat Show. Up next, we have Nico. Nico is a member of the Shelter Pet Group.
That's right. A group known especially for their sunspot sleeping, ball chasing, leg rubbing, couch purring, bed leaping, and of course, companionship.
Wonderful. And what breed would you say Nico is?
I'd have to go with a tabbyish Persian kind of mix.
Tremendous cat.
I'd also like to point out her coat's wonderful mix of colors. Is it black, gray, gray-black, brown?
Somewhere in between.
Indeed.
You know, it's always special when we get to see a cat like this.
Just look how she struts.
It's like she owns the place.
And how she's so incredibly cute in her indifference to commands.
A strong-willed feline.
Ah, and see how she curls up and cuddles her person.
The pitch on her purring is simply perfect.
Nice one.
I know. Fantastic cat.
Fantastic indeed. But really the best way to know an amazing shelter pet like Nico is to meet one.
Visit theshelterpetproject.org today. Adopt. Brought to you by Maddie's Fund, the Humane Society of the United States, and the Ad Council.
Welcome back to the Condo Coaches, online at thecondocoaches.com. Here's your host, Johnny Torres.
Thank you so much for listening to the Condo Coaches. You can visit us online, thecondocoaches.com. Take the show anywhere you want and listen anywhere in the world. SoundCloud, iTunes, available now. You can also go to our website. Watch us on YouTube, youtube.com/thecondocoaches. And thank you to those of you leaving us some nice messages here on our Facebook live stream, facebook.com/thecondocoaches. Dean, we talk about, and again, some people, obviously start to kind of turn their heads a little bit, scratching their heads about why would people volunteer to go out and do all this work for these condominium associations. I mean, you were giving me some facts. There's 250,000. Give it to me one more time.
There's approximately 250,000 board members in the state of Florida.
Gotcha.
Approximately.
Right.
And at $20 an hour, if they're donating their time, and most of them would throw a rock at me if they heard me say 10 hours a month because they debate that. But that's a $50 million economic value of donations a year on behalf of board members. And that's why we're doing it,
right,
to help them. We're volunteers just like them. So when somebody says, why would you do it? I said, hold up a mirror and go, why are you doing it? It's because we care. It's because they care.
Yeah, and again, we've kind of been there, done that.
Yeah.
Whether you've served on an organization's board or you served on your community association's board, like our guest, Gregg Ruggiero, who's our insurance coach for today. You said you're the president of your condominiums association.
Yep.
And how long have you been in that role?
This has been my first year.
Your first year.
Yep.
Can I interrupt?
Sure.
Do you know why he's president? Because he gets that $100,000 a year salary from being a condominium board president. Yeah, is it still $100,000 or is it more now?
Well, I'm trying to negotiate to 120 right now.
Yeah.
But my family is getting some extra Christmas gifts.
That's right.
Definitely.
And how's it been? It's your first year as a board member. You've obviously been in the insurance industry longer than that. Mm-hmm. You've been an insurance executive since 2010, and so now, kind of being on both sides of the table, how are you feeling about that decision?
That says it all. That's why he's a condo coach now.
Right.
It's been good. It's been a lot of communication. There's a lot that comes along with leadership in regards to that. So I kind of stepped up for it because, and this is a struggle throughout communities in general, is that there isn't people wanting to step up. There isn't enough people wanting to step up.
Right.
We only have 44 units. We're not a large association.
Okay. And
we still can't even get a lot of people to show up, to step up. And that's not to say anything against them. It's nothing against them, because in the background, it is a thankless job ultimately at the end of the day. But, it's been great. Honestly, I do find it rewarding at the end of the day when we are able to put new roofs on, when we are able to redo the paving, or we are able to paint the buildings, or we're able to change some landscaping or add some additional projects. Those are the things that really become rewarding. Sometimes that comes along with a few headaches here and there, but you take the good with the bad.
And what do you find has been the most challenging part of sitting on that board?
I would say just finding common ground in between the legal aspect, or what is happening legally, and representing the association, but also wanting to look out for a fellow homeowner, because I'm also the homeowner. I'm right there with you. If this was my situation, I would kind of be where you're at also. And then we have to kind of make a call. Where are we going to stand on this? Are we going to we want to back the homeowner, but we also have to back the other 43 unit owners that we have in our association.
Yeah, your responsibility is to the community at large.
Exactly.
And abiding by those governing documents.
Exactly. You don't want to create a ton of bad blood, because that's another, and I think the last one was the dysfunctions of a association.
Right.
Because as soon as you have that one bad decision or the one homeowner that isn't happy, then that starts spreading, and that starts spreading to one unit owner, and they're talking outside, and then it starts spreading to the next, and to the next, and to the next. Then you created this animosity
and nothing grows faster than negativity.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah. And so before we took a break, we were talking about getting an assessment done, having one of our condo coaches come out. It could even be Gregg here. He is one of our insurance coaches. The condo coaches, again, we are ready to volunteer for your board of directors anywhere in the state of Florida. You let us know where you need us to be. Go to thecondocoaches.com and let us know where you need us to be, and we'll absolutely show up. In talking about assessments, you had two more points you wanted to make, and one of them, I didn't even realize, directly affects those volunteers on that board.
Absolutely, yeah. So there's your directors and officers coverage. So that's another line of business. So then a separate policy from the liability policy, or a separate policy from the property or flood policy.
Okay.
And this one mainly is covering the financial responsibility or the fiduciary responsibility of the people that are on the board of directors. So as being on the board, you have a financial fiduciary responsibility to make decisions in the best interest of the board in mind. And if a unit owner comes forward and says that this decision that you made wasn't in the best interest of the association, they could potentially file a lawsuit against you and the board of directors. At that point, the directors and officers policy would be submitted as a claim, and then the directors and officers carrier would appoint an attorney to help defend you in that case, and try to help settle it as best as possible.
And that's something I never would have thought about. Not only protecting yourself legally as a board of directors, or sitting on the board of directors, but also financially as well. Because if they don't have this D&O coverage, they can come after your personal assets.
Potentially, yeah, they could come after you personally. Yes.
Okay.
So, and the D&O policy, that's a popular policy. So even if you sit on a nonprofit board of directors, let's say, that nonprofit is going to have directors and officers coverage.
Okay.
So it's similar, because condo associations are nonprofits, so it's similar one way or the other. At the end of the day, there is a financial or fiduciary responsibility for that.
And we always talk about how a lot of this stuff bleeds over into other nonprofits and other organizations out there that really, just because it's contained within a community, doesn't mean it's really that different from what goes on in any other nonprofit.
Well, you have it going both ways. There's policies too, and you can allude to it. There's surety sort of policies that protect the homeowners from a particular board member that maybe handling cash or something that could go rogue. So there's policies both ways. You want to be covered both directions, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And that would be under your crime policy. So that's another separate policy that you would have. And all of this is encompassed into a full package. It all would potentially renew on the same date. So it's not like we're renewing policies all throughout the year. It's all kind of encompassed into one. But on the crime policy, and this is state statute, for condos, is you need to have your crime policy in place, but also a part of that would be your fidelity bond, or your employee theft coverage.
Okay.
And the limit of that should be your operating expenses. So when you look at your balance sheet or your budget for the year, your operating expenses plus your reserves. So whatever those two numbers come out to be, that's what your limit should be on your employee theft coverage.
And that covers you in the case of what?
Embezzlement by any of the potential board members or the property management company and the property manager.
Now, that's never happened, has it?
Not in the history of the world.
Yeah, there wouldn't be a policy for it, right? If that wasn't the case.
What's funny is there, when you take 250,000 individuals, so that you take 9 million homeowners, these are all round numbers, you have a lot of chances for trust or distrust. His insurance programs or any insurance agency's programs are to help prevent that. The flip side of it is, so far, every condo coach engagement I've had where somebody goes, I know somebody's stealing. I know they're stealing. I've found 100% of the time it was financial understandings of how the income statement, balance sheet, and cash flows worked. It wasn't somebody stealing.
Yeah. Well, and even on that point, if you are not 100% confident that your treasurer really has a firm grasp on what they're doing, we will be more than happy to send a condo coach out there to take a look at your financials, make sure that you're meeting all the legal requirements, meeting all the insurance requirements, and you can ask for a free assessment of your entire community, not just insurance. We also do security assessments. We can do financial assessments, and you can schedule one today by calling us at 813-331-5415. You can also let Dean know what you'd like for us to talk about on the show at that number, 813-331-5415. help@thecondocoaches.com is our email address. If you don't like to get so personal with a phone call, you can also email us, help@thecondocoaches.com. And of course, we've got a few contact forms on our website that you can reach us through. Help by going to our website, thecondocoaches.com, thecondocoaches.com.
Can you remind everybody, too, because it's been so popular, I mean, the Condo Coaches board booklet, that 36-page board booklet of really great tips on communication, finance, law. If they're not getting it, they can either do the way you've shared or go on, and that PDF will come right to them. It's unbelievably good.
Well, and again, it covers governing documents, it covers elections, it covers communication, and so this is a free download. All you got to do is go on our website, go look for our playbook, and our coach's playbook is going to get you this premium download, and it's the 10 things you need to know if you are a board member. And we've already given out hundreds of copies. We're going to print another run here to give out hundreds more copies, but you can download it today, absolutely free, on our website, thecondocoaches.com, thecondocoaches.com, or just shoot us an email, help@thecondocoaches.com, and Dean will send you a copy himself. Thank you so much for listening.
You've been listening to the Condo Coaches, brought to you by lmfunding.com. Find us online at thecondocoaches.com and join us this same time next week as we help you navigate life in your managed community.